What should I invest in? Where do I put my savings? With interest rates down, investments that are safe yet provide good yield are hard to come by. Risk becomes ever-present in search of higher yield. There is no question that this risk is increasing and the bubbles have inflated to a greater degree. There is no escaping the fallout. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today I have several issues that I want to discuss, beginning with this. According to John Buckingham, he's the editor of the Prudent Speculator newsletter, which has a #1 ranking for performance since inception 40 years ago. What did he say? Well, according to this Barron's article, the newsletter's advice has made more money over the past 40 years than any of the nearly 200 other services he monitors. What did he say? Well, if you are 50 or younger, or have 10 years before taking your money out, and you do not have 100% in equities, you are crazy. That's right. If you do not put all your eggs into one basket, you are crazy. If you diversify, you are crazy. That's the kind of advice that we are told by our financial advisors. The same financial advisors that have been caught or have come forward speaking of all of the crimes that they commit, like putting people into particular assets knowing that it's not a good one for them, but simply because the bank makes more profit and that individual makes more profit as a result, because it's all about sales, corporate profits. And you look at this right here, this is pretty funny. The 1929 bubble, the 1987 bubble, 2000, 2008, and now at the very top, Prudent Speculator tells millennials to put 100% in equities here. At the highest it's ever been, put your money into it. Even Warren the Insider Buffett says the worst reason to buy into stocks is because they're going up. This is the chart that everybody needs to see. And there's one particular reason, but first let's look at the left-hand side. Business equity, essentially what we're looking at is the top 1%, the next 9%, and the bottom 90%. Defining what people own. Total assets, okay? In the top 1%, it seems that business equity tends to hold the major percentage. However, the principal residence for these individuals in the top 1% makes up only 10%. The principal residence for the bottom 90% of people is more than half of their wealth. And if you look at the statistics right now, for a lot of places where housing is extremely expensive, this number is much, much higher. And that tells me that people have put everything they can, or whether or not they like it, into their homes. And that's just the way it is. They don't have other assets. Their home is their only form of savings. The crisis in Venezuela continues. You can see the clashes that have taken place. This individual is literally on fire after one of the clashes. I would have to wager a bet that he didn't survive this. A Venezuelan National Guard armored vehicle careened into a crowd of anti-government demonstrators in Caracas on a day of furious protest that left more than 300 people injured. It's getting worse. The people are getting frustrated. Violence is expanding. The store shelves are often empty. The black market prices continue to rise. And the currency is devaluing into nothing. And yet, people still deny what's happening. I don't get it. I don't understand this. With its creditors at its heels and its coffers depleted, Puerto Rico sought what is essentially bankruptcy relief in federal court on Wednesday. the first time in history that an American state or territory had taken the extraordinary measure. And they will engage in something I just warned about if you saw the live interview, which is now posted with Rethinking the Dollar. I just talked about this. Restructuring the debt. The worst terminology, the worst set of words in the financial industry is restructuring debt. You need to run the opposite direction wherever that's coming from. The governor turned to the courts Wednesday to protect the U.S. territory from a crushing $73 billion debt in the largest ever effort made by a U.S. government to shield itself from creditors. That's right. You owe money you can't pay back, so you claim bankruptcy. And we knew this was coming. Nobody denied that they would go bankrupt. It was so obvious. And what happens? We have to restructure the debt. Essentially, shuffling the debt around, pushing it off further into the future, perhaps some haircuts here and there. Depends on the situation. This was most notably done with the ESM, the EFSF in Europe. As you see debt being restructured, let me take all your garbage debt, okay? Everything you got. Give me all the worst. I'm going to pile it up here. I'm going to shuffle it around a bit. I'll package it up. I'm going to give it a fresh coat of paint on top of all that rotten carcass. Paint it up fresh. Sell it to people. Let's get it back on the market. And let's do what we can with it. That's what this is. It's not hearsay. I'm not being silly about it. That's literally what this is. Doesn't happen. Doesn't matter if it's Puerto Rico. Doesn't matter if it's Greece, Cyprus, anywhere. Doesn't matter. When you do this kind of thing, you take garbage, you wrap it up into a nice little fresh paint job on the top of it, and you try to sell it for something good, and they will buy it. There are these investment companies who will buy it because the yield is slightly better than on, supposed safe bond, let's say. But of course, it's all at a risk. Moving over to China right now, you can see the Shanghai Composite that has been declining all throughout April. And while we see sort of forming some stagnation, let's call it, recently, I would still say that the trend is on a downward at this time. I don't know what's going on, but part of it happens to be a loss in the value of commodities. This happens to be iron ore futures, and that's never a good thing, particularly with China. You need to see them consume more and more and more, and you want them exporting more, you want them importing more. You want to see China booming if you are interested in the stock prices going up, but that doesn't seem to be happening right now. Is there a deep credit crisis going on? That's the question being asked of China right now at this time. I've been taking a very close look at this, and I believe that we will see increased stimulus packages coming out of China. Let's keep our eyes on that. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you will find my books, The Money GPS and Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. If you want to look through these books, just go over to Amazon. They have look inside features that will allow you to flip through the pages of these books to see if you like them. Take care. If you're still here, I just wanted to let you know that I just did an interview with Rethinking the Dollar. It's in the interview section of my channel, and you can also check it out. If you go to the previous video I did, you'll see that I put a link in there for that. Check it out. It was an hour long. I know it's really long, but we just got into so many different topics. We had live callers calling in. It was really fun. We got into so many different issues. Definitely check it out. Maybe you could just listen in while you're doing some other things. Take a look at it. I highly recommend it. Take care.